Hello everyone, I'm Magpie2541. We seem to be having some problems with BlueDragonFive, so it's just going to be me and the illustrious Mr. Fusion.
Hello, how's it going?
But BlueDragonFive did a wonderful intro for him. I'll try and put that at the end of the video, so at least it's on here. Uh, and he'll probably chime in when he can, because for some reason he always seems to have problems calling Australia. So I'd rather get started here with because I'm sure you have plans, Lance. So let's just get going. So everyone, get your DVDs out and put it to timestamp 0, and you can join in with us in watching the movie. I'm great at this, aren't I?
Blue Dragonfive was saying we're gonna introduce with our how we were introduced to the film. Is that
Yeah. Okay, so if you haven't already, press play now. Okay. Uh, Now, of course, my computer would pick this. Oh no, it's fine.
are we good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm seeing Steven Spielberg's name right now, and then Robert Zemeckis.
uh,
I love that guy.
yeah, me too. I liked Romance in the Stone very much.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I know I need to. I want to see all of his early stuff because they talk about it quite a bit on the official commentaries here. Their early work on used cars, and I want to hold your hand. It made me really want to actually see some of the earlier stuff. It's only been 11 years since I've known about it, so I'm getting a great start so far. So, Back to the Future Part 2. When did you first come upon this illustrious movie?
Oh, well, actually, I remember when it was being released
Mm-hmm.
vaguely, but because I was a kid, so it was back then. That I remember it. I remember being very excited for it. So that was my introduction to it. I remember being so excited because they were really pimping out that whole hoverboard scene.
Mm-hmm. Was this your introduction to the series as a whole?
No, I had been watching the first one since I was a kid. It was like,
Oh, there's a Mr. Fusion. Sorry.
yeah. So that was my intro to it. It was I've always been watching it. I can't even remember the first time I watched it. Same as Willy Wonka and all the Star Wars movies. I just can't remember when I first started watching them because they've always been a part of my life.
Oh, for me, I distinctly remember seeing this for the first time. This actually was my introduction to Back to the Future in general. So for a while, this was actually my favorite film of the trilogy. Until I got the DVD, which was 10 years after I first saw the movie. I saw this in 1992. My mother recorded this for me. It was on an ABC movie of the night, Thursday night movie or whatever it is kind of thing. And it was actually that television recording that was my only access to this film until I got the DVDs 10 years later in 2002.
Oh.
And I was 6 at the time, and I didn't really understand. So I hadn't seen the first film. I sort of had to fill in the gaps on my own. I didn't really like quite understand the ages of the people involved because, hey, yeah, you're 6. Everybody seems, might as well be, 50 years older than you. So at the end of the film, when Marty goes back to 1955 and sees himself from before, it just, it didn't occur to me that he time traveled to get there the first time. I thought that was just Marty from 30 years in the past at his parents' high school dance because, why not?
uh, I don't remember that much about what I was thinking at the time. I just remember loving the DeLorean and all the time travel stuff, and really loving Doc Brown and Marty McFly. And this is what made me such a fan of Michael J. Fox, because he's
Oh,
one of
me
my
too.
favorite actors.
I remember I was in first grade around the time I saw this, and me and my best friend at the time were really into Back to the Future. I was a fan of the cartoon series as well, the Saturday morning cartoon. And I just remember I got this like dot matrix printer paper. You know, they were like all connected, perforated pieces of paper that had those little spools on the side that you ran through the printer. I just took a stack of these and did like a series of Back to the Future Part 2 drawings, one per sheet, like of Marty and Doc at the end, him confronting him, and Doc fainting and drawing out the to be concluded. Which, by the way, was also I remember also the first time I ever encountered the word concluded in my life, and was really amazed at this word that wasn't to be continued, it was to be concluded, and that somehow was different. And I was very young at the time.
Yeah, I didn't remember the two. I would always say to be continued at the end, and my mother would say, "No, it's to be concluded, Brendan."
I just remember for a while because of that, I thought that concluded actually was synonymous with continued. I thought it was just another word for continued.
Yeah.
So a little while ago, we saw Jeffrey Weissman's name in the credits, who's George McFly in this movie. Remember, around the time I started college, I was a big forum goer of BTTF.com's forum, and they actually got Jeffrey Weissman as a member there for a while, and I actually got an autographed glossy photo of him. It was an image of him and him as George and Lorraine and Marty at the dance. And I got him to autograph for me. I love that picture.
I didn't even know the actor's name that played the second George.
Mm-hmm. Yep, George in the second and third movies, they didn't get Crispin Glover to come back.
I remember hearing on Geek Evolution the whole story of why he didn't come back, and I was like, for that you'd been keeping that a secret for all this time?
It's on the supplementary features on the DVDs. Bob Gale talks about it. I love that. It always bugged me that DeLorean in this shot is our landing in Hill Valley, assuming we're all synced up right now, where the exhausts are quite a bit shorter than they're supposed to be, and that they are in every other shot of the movie. So they have this fiberglass DeLorean they used to lower onto the set like this, onto the back lot. For some reason, the exhausts on the back don't extend to the taillights like they do any other time. That's my annoying nitpicking for the film. That's always bugged me ever since I was a little kid. That one shot, the exhausts aren't right.
I never noticed it before. There's how much attention I'm paying.
There's the Fusion Industries.
I had no idea.
I used to refer to my channel as the Fusion Syndicate. I probably should have just done calling it Fusion Industries. As a kid, this part where Doc's taking his makeup off, his latex off, I never really got that until I got the DVDs, because to me he never looked any different when he pulled the old age makeup off.
Yeah, neither did I. I never got that as a kid. He always looked the same to me.
Yeah. And so I never really got the idea, because in the first film he's playing the Doc Brown character is older than Christopher Lloyd, since they cast him to be the young Doc Brown, because that was primarily who he was in the first film. So, and I never really understood that anyway. I hadn't even seen him in Taxi at that point. And so I never really got why he was pulling this makeup off and how he's supposed to. I actually, for a while, I thought maybe the joke was that he wasn't supposed to look any different, and that's why Marty's kind of like, yeah, you look great.
I recently met up with Christopher Lloyd, as you can see by my Skype photo.
Oh my gosh, that is. I was not even paying. That is crazy. Wow. I am so jealous of you right now.
Yeah, well, I would have loved to have gone to the Q&A, but due to the fact that Sydney's like 3 hours away by train, I just couldn't get up and moving in time to go to the Q&A session the following day, so I just sat back on the Saturday and went back up on the Sunday, so I was like, I'm going to miss out on getting my question asked, so I'll just go up and enjoy getting my photo taken because I saw both him and someone else. Sorry, I can never remember who it was.
Yeah, it was
Eric Roberts. Eric Roberts. Sorry, that's who it was.
So is Christopher Lloyd really as shy in real life as people say?
Yes.
Uh,
No, I'm sorry, Meg. Go ahead.
oh, you finally arrived. Okay, we've just hit the moment where they're putting down
Jennifer.
Yeah.
It's 9 minutes and 22 seconds for me.
Yeah. So you get to the 10-minute point, we'll be all synced up.
So have we paused?
No.
No.
Just keep it running. Okay. So.
Yeah, there goes all my background. Darn it.
Oh, we talked about. I mean, we can go back and have you say your background. We discussed that a little bit already.
Well, I mean, I also had like background for like certain shots and stuff.
I love it. They abolished all lawyers.
Because yeah, but there was I remember in the commentary for Back to the Future Part 3, they were saying that they'd gotten this really big marketing coup, getting this New York Times interview with Christopher Lloyd, and then he basically didn't say anything at all because he was just so painfully shy and didn't do interviews, didn't talk to anybody. So I was wondering if that came across when you met him, that he was just like sort of very low key, very not the kind of manic personalities he portrays in his film work.
Well, no, it was like essentially I just walked in and I said hi and I was a big fan because I did want to at least say that to him, and essentially we just took the photo and that was it. So, but someone was the thing is people were telling me in line for the photo about all these other movies that I didn't know about, but I managed to tell them about a couple of things I'd seen him in as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what's visually happening for you guys?
What?
What's visually happening for you guys right now?
Just walking into. Yeah, just walking into 2015. Just walking on the no landing sign right now. I was actually just about to say there's that Surf Vietnam poster on the wall you just walked past. I've always wanted that poster. I've always found that hilarious.
Oh yeah. Must be like the epicenter of all time travel because it's always in this area he walks into. History does repeat itself.
The town square.
I just noticed next to the Jaws 15 picture, it says this time it's really, really personal.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's 19. Sorry.
Also, Max Spielberg is one of Spielberg's kids, and the gag is, years afterwards, his son would have taken over the Jaws franchise.
Yeah. Well, the gas prices seem kind of accurate. Actually, a little bit lower than I'm paying right now.
The creators joke that basically they got 50% of this right for the future. Which, by the way, they have to re-release this in 2015.
Actually, I know. I live in Florida, about an hour from Universal Studios Orlando, and last fall they actually did have a screening of Back to the Future that I went to go see, which was really exciting. Turned out I was hoping they had like a 35mm print, but it turned out they were screening the Blu-ray. That was a bit disappointing, but I was still exciting to be able to watch it with an audience, even though there was this guy sitting next to me who was quoting all the dialogue before it happened. If it wasn't a movie that I didn't already know by heart, that would have been annoying, but just like a palpable energy getting to watch it with an audience. So that was actually the second time I got to see the first Back to the Future in theaters. The first time I was a fetus, so I don't know if that really counts that much.
Yeah, first time I saw it was on a VHS on my birthday. Yeah.
I was saying to Lance, I can't even remember the first time because I literally was growing up, probably 2 years old or 1 year old when I first saw it.
He's in the campy 80s for you, right?
Yeah,
he's talking to Ronald Reagan, the Max Headroom Ronald Reagan right now. And here's Ayatollah Khomeini.
Also,
I am.
Go ahead, Fusion.
I was about to say I am glad it doesn't cost upwards of $50 to get a Pepsi at the moment. We're only 2 years away, but.
Yep.
Yeah.
By the way, why don't they just leave Jennifer in the car?
I was gonna say because he knocked out Marty Jr., but I guess he didn't actually put him in the car since Marty Jr. ends up showing up anyway. So I don't
Well,
know.
he said there's a line that he says he used it on Marty Jr. Well, he used it on Jennifer, and that used the power, so that's why Marty Jr. is still awake. He walked off.
Yeah, well, I was about to say that I assume maybe he put, Marty Jr. in the car instead, but that wouldn't make any sense because, he'd be able to supervise him even if he did wake up. So,
yeah.
so I was gonna say maybe needed the room in the car for him, but
no, he takes off in the car. He rocks back up, so obviously he's got to go do something as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, he was going to intercept Marty Jr. at that point.
Yeah. That's when Mars walking in town square. That's what he's doing. He's intercepting Junior. Yeah. Oh, by the way, that's a great homage to with in Back to the Future 1 where he talked to George McFly in the diner in the cafe.
Yeah.
While in the background they're landing when they were in the first movie.
Yeah, landing where the car parked in the first film.
Yeah.
And of course, coming up right about here is the infamous Elijah Wood cameo. It's first.
Why is
first
it infamous?
It's kind of one of those weird little things, I guess. I don't know. I always hear people bring that up when they mention Elijah Wood.
The other kid looks familiar too.
I'm sure he hasn't done anything interesting with his life. And of course, the big nerd moment here is that this is not an arcade game, and any NES nerd worth his salt would know that.
Oh, we lost BlueDragonFive again, so...
It happens.
The fashion's not too bad. It looks very much, oh god, Lady Gaga-ish for the women. So it's probably not that far off.
Definitely seems there was a big 80s resurgence in 2015 in this version of Timelines. I always try to find as many television shows on those monitors back there as I can. So I know that there's a shot of Taxi on the far left screen we see on this shot right now, which is funny, obviously, because Christopher Lloyd is in Taxi. That's kind of its own paradox thing going on right there. Oh, there's Taxi right there, yeah. I remember there was a big demand about 10 years ago for those lenticular hats to match the ones like Marty Jr.'s wearing. They finally did. Like there was a company that happened by happenstance to put out a hat just like that, only their own logo on it. And the BTTF community really petitioned for them to release a limited version of that without the logo, so it would match, be screen accurate to Marty Jr.'s hat, and they did eventually. So, and there was much rejoicing.
And here's the whole beginning for the arc for Marty.
Yeah, first mention of that chicken compulsion.
Yeah.
Which obviously wasn't in the first film because they hadn't invented it at the time. It's what TV Tropes calls a two-part trilogy, I believe, because 2 and 3 were actually written together and filmed back to back.
Well, originally that wasn't the plan. It was going to be one big film.
Yeah. Or it was or at least part of there was some back and forth with the studio about this, that they actually ended up writing it as one big movie, one hugely expensive Waterworld budgeted kind of movie, just to prove to the studio that they couldn't do it as one movie, just to freak them out enough. So they say, it has to be 2 movies now because it's just so freaking expensive and huge, and it'd be much more economically feasible to do it as 2 movies.
Have you read Michael J. Fox's book?
Which one? I read this Lucky Man book, but I've heard he's done a newer one since then.
Either one, but my mother's read has both of them.
What's the new one called?
What happened to me on my way to the future?
That's right.
Something along those lines. But she keeps telling me I should read it, and I just haven't had. I've got to still got to read Captain Logan's book, so and I've still got other books I've got to finish reading as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
For me, what I did like about this future setting, at least once I gained a more mature perspective, is it's funny that obviously this is still the perspective is still 1985 for Marty, but this is movie wasn't made until '89. So I did like they were able to incorporate a little bit of actual what would be future stuff for him, things that happened in between '85 and '89 that would be the future for Marty. So it has like the Roger Rabbit reference, which isn't just which is obviously a Robert Zemeckis reference as he directed that film, but also that movie hadn't come out in '85, so that it would still be a future, an actual realistic future relic for Marty to encounter. And same thing with like the NES Jaws video game, I think was a little bit later than probably a little bit later than '85 as well. So you have a lot of those things that probably when 2015 comes around probably isn't going to gel up pretty well. But there are those few things that did actually, because of the timeline of the movies being made, were representative of a quote unquote real future. But I'm sure in 2 years we'll have fax machines in every room.
Yeah, I'm sure. But it's some of it is like fashion-wise, it's still pretty it's still pretty accurate, I think.
Really, you have jackets with self-adjusting sleeves that talk to you?
Well, apart from that, like there's this
self-lacing shoes.
As far as the women go, I'm sure it seems like Lady Gaga has taken over. So, but wouldn't be too far out of the realm of possibility for some of this stuff to come into being. But
what I do find interesting from a design standpoint in terms of the town square is that they had a real sense of purpose in the first film to show sort of the decline of the downtown area between the 50s and the 80s, like that things had all moved out to the suburbs, into the malls, and to the outlying areas, and so the '85 version of Hill Valley's town square was kind of broken down and dilapidated. But then you get to this film in this time period, I guess you could say from an in-universe perspective, it's more of an idea that maybe in the future, things go back, sort of reverse themselves and end up, flourishing in the town square again. And that's Charlie Schaefer, who plays Roger Rabbit, playing Terry here.
Oh.
But I just know, obviously from a production standpoint, they wanted the most iconic imagery to be futurized, which is the town square and the courthouse and everything like that. So it's kind of odd that that in a way that they'd have this bustling town square in the 50s would become dilapidated in the 80s, and then suddenly it's the center of this huge this underground mall underneath the underneath the courthouse in 2015. That's funny that the thing with the Cubs, you always any time the Cubs in any year the Cubs start doing well in a baseball season, people start referencing this movie and saying, "Oh, this is what the movie said was going to happen in this year." And you saw it happen like 7 or 8 years ago, and it's like, no, that wasn't actually the year that happened. That wasn't even the team, because the Miami team doesn't actually exist. It wasn't a Miami team at all in '89, and when they did, it was the Marlins, not some sort of gator or whatever that mascot was supposed to be. Yeah, see the exhaust in the DeLorean, they extend down onto the taillights in that shot right there, and any other time you see the DeLorean.
Ooh, it's changing. Oh, it's very Judge Dredd-ish.
So that's why Doc had to throw Jennifer out, because he had to make room for his dog.
Yeah. 3. Future history has been changed.
So it's interesting. It's similar to the Times Square, I guess. The town square. Is that Biff is sort of now back to his more evil, curmudgeonly ways by this point. When in the '80s he was kind of, at least the revised '80s, he was kind of foppish, and
Yeah.
yeah, but now I guess he's wore his pants too tight for a while and just kind of made him kind of grumpy. But now he's kind of scheming and plotting and bullyish again.
Yeah.
So we can make him our villain once more.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch Confused Matthew.
Oh, I did. It's one thing I agree with him on is his review or discussion, whatever, on this movie. Everything else, I'm like always pulling my hair out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily. I mean, I still love this movie, but I certainly can't disagree. I love that the point he made at one point is like whether he's young, old, rich, poor. Apparently, Biff is full of bloodlust.
I do understand his point about Biff, but that he makes in his videos, which is he sort of changes out of nowhere because he's
our designated villain, so he has to be doing the villain stuff.
Yeah, but what I imagine it is that he's gotten old. He's not happy with his life anymore. Realized.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't had much of a reason to be happy with life since he was a teenager. It seems, based on how his life turned out. There's the Surf Vietnam poster that Marty and Doc are standing right next to you right now. I'd love to be able to get a copy of that poster. But this movie, probably one of my first introductions to time travel as well. And it's funny, I sort of, until I got the DVDs and got to see the movies with commentary and with context, I did as a kid sort of saw these more as straightforward time travel films, which is really true, especially in the case of this film, which is much more about the mechanics of time traveling and the consequences of time traveling, whereas in the first film it was more of just a plot device to get Marty to interact with his parents when they were the same age, and that was really more about those characters than about time travel in general. But since I was introduced to the films with this film, it really got me interested in time travel and how time travel worked. I remember as a kid I wanted to grow up and be a scientist so I could invent a time machine.
I love it. This town development or whatever it is, big development place has become sort of a crime area. I think that's interesting because you got all those in Australia. There's all these places that are similar to this, which is just houses as far as the eye can see, and everything looks so nice and I gather it was something similar was happening here, but it was happening earlier. So now everything's sort of become this crime area.
It's funny though, because they're kind of setting this up in reverse. I guess, well, actually, a lot of the plot points in 2 and 3 are kind of set up in reverse. That this is the first time we're seeing or having any mention of Hilldale, and then it's as being as this sort of run down crappy suburb or housing development. Whereas you see it in part 3 through the lens of 85 Doc and 85 Marty, and it's this new Hilldale housing development, and it's like, actually though there's that line. Marty has that line in this film as well, where he's mutters to himself, "Oh, I live in Hilldale. This is great." So it is sort of setting up this idea that it was this new amazing place where he comes from.
I love that. I don't know if you saw the trailer. Have you seen the trailer to this where Michael J. Fox and Michael J. Fox
I love the trailer for this film. This is something I never understood as a kid. I never understood if the Chapel love thing was supposed to be good or bad.
I think it's bad.
It is. It's definitely bad. But when I was 6 years old, I couldn't quite figure out if that was supposed to be a good thing or a bad thing.
I'm with you, Fusion. I didn't get it either.
Welcome back, BlueDragonFive.
Hey, fellas.
Yeah.
Hey, McPlay, can you check out the thing I just sent you? Message.
Okay, yeah, I'm not downloading anything because.
No, I don't mean that. You say just type something real quick.
Well, here's our Michael J. Fox in drag.
Yep, Marlene McFly.
And our upside down Jeffrey Weissman as our new and improved George McFly.
Yeah, because Crispin Glover wanted a lot of money and the stuff, didn't he?
I've actually heard I've heard two separate accounts of that. The ones on the DVD from everybody who's not Crispin Glover was he wanted an exorbitant amount of money and wouldn't budge on that. I think I heard from Crispin Glover's side of the story was simply that he just didn't want to get locked into this, get typecast into this role. Which,
I'm kind of going. I think it's the money thing.
Yeah, me too. But there's a part of me that likes to sort of try to amalgamate those ideas that Crispin Glover being Crispin Glover couldn't just turn down the role like a normal human being. They had to have this exorbitant, tell his agent, let's ask for this much money, and then they won't let me be in the movie, and this is my evil, my dastardly plan to not be in this movie is to not have them turn me down.
Yeah,
that's how I rationalize it. that's how I combine the two stories together in my own mind.
Mm.
Yeah.
I gotta land in an O landing zone, Doc. Asking that DeLorean to be towed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And this is the part where Marty has his line about being really happy about living in Hilldale.
Yep.
I love Leah Thompson here. She's got the a really old lady voice and everything. So funny.
Makeup was really good in this film.
Mm.
I thought the makeup was a lot better in the first film, to be perfectly honest. I thought they looked much more rubbery in this film. That was the one thing I didn't like about this film, was that they looked like people wearing masks, rather than they looked much more natural in the first film, I thought.
Are you saying because Doc Brown literally ripped off his mask?
No, I'm not saying it's weird. It's like you would. And I'm not just talking about the really, really extreme old age stuff we see here. When they go back to '85, and we see the alternate Lorraine and Biff, they look like they're wearing rubber masks as well, and it just seemed much more natural to me. And they mentioned in the official commentary, like the Ken Chase was doing the makeup differently in this film, saying that it's due to advances in makeup design that they had. Been able to create casts of their whole face rather than just applying latex to their certain areas of their face, which to me just didn't seem like a good idea anyway. And that sort of made sense to me why I always thought that it looked like they were just wearing masks. I don't know.
Mm.
Well, by the way, about that picture, where's Doc in that picture? Are we to assume Doc is dead in this age?
I mean,
2015. Are we to assume that Doc died in there? That's why he's not in the wedding picture.
Well, I would assume they're sort of playing, it sort of goes against this theory of time travel. I mean, I can see two possibilities. Either that they're sort of doing a sort of a stable time loop, and that this, Doc, since Doc doesn't end up really necessarily living in this time frame, since he ends up going back to the 19th century. But I mean, also there's the fact that he comes, as you mentioned, he rips off the makeup from his face. Talks about how he got 30, 40 years added to his life. Well, I mean, that's certainly, if he did choose to live out in a normal time period, he'd certainly have enough to live into 2015. If he had 30, 40 years, that's 30 years out from 1985.
Mm.
Good point. But by the way, Eddie Murphy, eat your heart out for all the Michael J. Foxes on screen.
Well, and they did seem to get television technology right, at least the hardware. That very much looks like a modern television of today. It's not not with the six channels in one type of thing, but the television looks like a contemporary 21st century television.
Oh, and they've got Skype in the future.
They do.
It's funny. I just noticed this. They're pretty accurate with aging Michael J. Fox because it looks quite similar to this now.
Really? I don't. Again, I just.
He's got a little less.
I hate Michael J. Fox's makeup in this scene. Again, looks like he has a rubber face. to me.
Yeah, it does, but
Doesn't bother me.
like certain details are accurate. Like the forehead seems accurate, and but his hair's gone a little bit grayer prematurely. He's just a little. He's a little thinner on the top, though.
And he's got a Klingon forehead, as far as I'm concerned. Look at that, just like that rubber lumpy forehead.
You guys mentioned the 2 ties, didn't you?
Actually, we haven't mentioned it. It just hasn't come up. I mean, obviously it's there. It hasn't come up in conversation.
Well, let me say this in case it hasn't been brought up. Did you guys mention the Vista Glide camera?
I thought about mentioning it earlier. I just said, I'm trying not to repeat a lot of stuff that would be on the official commentary. But yeah, I love the Vista Glide. That's like the first, first computer-controlled, motion-controlled camera. That you couldn't really do anything like this before this movie. Camera moves and dollies and pans with multiple, the same actor in multiple roles.
Yeah, it's basically kind of like a prism in the camera.
Yeah, where it can, where the camera movement can be perfectly, replicated in multiple takes. So you can be able to seamlessly blend, those, 3 Michael J. Foxes into a shot where the camera is moving. Yeah,
and there was that. Remember the earthquake that happened when they were shooting that? Because if the idea is, when you do those kind of shots with like the 3 Michael J. Foxes, you don't want anything to move. So
everything has to be exactly the same every time.
And they glued things down to the tail just to be prepared. And like they had guards outside the door, but they didn't count on the earthquake. But thankfully, nothing was really moved. So they were lucky on that one. So visually, what's happening for you guys right now?
He's talking to Mr. Fujitsu on the television.
Okay. Good.
Getting fired.
I'm past that already.
My lips, you are fired. You are fired. And you're fired on the screen.
And Fujitsu isn't the name, by the way. It's not the name of the guy.
Yeah, it's the Fuji Communications Company or whatever it is. It's an acronym or a portmanteau of words rather than an actual name.
Read my screen.
Yeah.
Read my font.
Yeah, I love Bob Gale's comparison. I love Bob Gale's explanation of the Fujitsu thing in the commentary. It's like calling somebody Mr. General Motors.
Yep. Oh, by the way, this is a nitpick I have. Why doesn't she just go out the window?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it'd be less of a struggle. And remember the Thumb Bandit thing that was originally in the movie?
The thing in the newspaper, Thumb Bandit Strike Again. People, since you use your thumb to do everything in the future, that they have a crime of people cutting off people's thumbs. So they can, it's sort of like a credit card type of thing.
And he's playing Power of Love on that guitar, by the way. At least he was trying to.
Yeah, I could never hear that until I was told in the commentary that was the case.
Oh.
Apparently, Jennifer, as a character, her big character add-on says she faints whenever she sees herself, or just faints as a reflex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying she does it a lot. She's sleeping through these 2 movies. That was the big. That's what they always said. If they could go back, they just take her out of the car so they could do more with it. Yeah,
well, I personally think they could have incorporated her into the. In fact, in the first draft of the film, she actually does accompany Marty into the Cafe 80s. Doc dresses her up in future garb too, and they both do this mission together. And I have to say that it is, it's funny that you had her fainting thing, but it is kind of, if you have this character, might as well make use of her rather than just knock her out and throw her away somewhere. But it's kind of funny if you think about the time frame. It's like they come back at this point to October 26th, 1985, at about 8:00 p.m., which is when they deposit Jennifer on the porch. When Marty comes and wakes her up, it's the next day, October 27th, at about 11:30 in the morning, which means she was asleep for like 15 hours.
Yeah.
By the way, there's your coffee maker, Mr. Fusion.
Yep. Actually, it's a coffee grinder, Krupp's coffee grinder, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. This is a nice touch, by the way, about the jet, because, Biff has a casino now, and that's why people are going in there.
Yeah. And of course, the little detail. If it's a shame, I guess that Doc wasn't paying attention to his own display in the DeLorean because it does, up to this point, it would have said last time departed was November 12th, 1955, and that would have given him the information he needed before now, without having to go through all of this, getting potentially shot by Biff to find out what's going on.
Yep. Yeah. Remember what killed old Biff? What do you think killed old Biff? You think it was Lorraine shooting him, or just the shock of the time travel fusion?
Well,
I tried.
Well, in the deleted scenes, it's referenced that that Lorraine killed him.
True.
I guess they were saying that was their idea behind it, but since they didn't end up showing him fading out at all, I mean, since it's never actually explicitly said, they said you could just easily believe that the shock killed him. I don't know. I guess I've never really decided one way or the other in my mind, but I'm fine either way. I don't know. It's kind of one of those. It's obscure. It's something you would never even think of, even if that scene was left in. It's something you'd never pick up on. Which is why it was cut in the first place, I guess, because it doesn't really make it doesn't make any sense given the information you are given in the film.
By the way, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Hysteria.
Yeah.
But that's I think it's a little of both. If that makes any sense.
This scene coming up here always scared the crap out of me as a kid.
I'm with you, Fusion. This scene did freak me out. I was thinking, what the?
Yeah, it's all the screaming and the guy coming in with a bat and knocking things off. I was 6 years old, and this just terrified me. Coming into your own room and then getting attacked by all these people.
Yeah. The girl screams rape, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not much of a feminine girl, I'll add, but yeah.
I hate to say this, but this is where the film stops dead for me. I just can't, it's really hard for me to get past this point sometimes with this, because it's just like, I got to get through all this just to get to the rest of the good parts of the movie.
I thought this was a guy the first time I saw it as a kid.
The kid in the bedroom?
Yeah, the daughter.
Yeah.
Either way, this is Biff Horrific we're in right now. The alternate 1985. They call it Biff Horrific, but I think it's a cool title.
It's funny. I just noticed the tension towers behind the McFly house. I remember in the official commentary, Bob Gale says that they chose that house because it, the towers behind the house sort of, as he said, spoke volumes about the socioeconomic status of the McFlys, which always made me think. Always made me wonder about the people who actually live there in real life, and if they knew that was the reason their house was chosen, and if they'd be insulted by that.
And the chalk outlines it's kind of funny also, but it's really effective instead of seeing the actual bodies.
Yeah.
But also, all the for sale signs on the houses, like every house in that block is for sale. That kind of gives credence to what the guy's saying. We're not selling!
Mm-hmm. Also has the Biff logo on all the for sale signs as well.
A lot of great build up for what we're about to see, the horror show, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna
as I was saying when we were in 2015, it is kind of funny that it's again from a production standpoint, it's obvious they want to make the most iconic landmarks from Back to the Future, which is the clock tower. Always be a focal point. Even though, as I said in 1985, their idea was to show that it had become run down and nobody cared about it anymore. But still, it's like in 2015, that's the epicenter because there's this big mall there, so it's somehow grown back up again. And in this version of 1985, that's the place Biff has chosen for his casino. I'm not exactly sure of the structural integrity of a courthouse to hold the sudden skyscraper levels that are added to it, but I find that kind of amusing that I don't really know how much sense it makes from an in-universe perspective, and I guess you go with Doc's remark later in the film about November 12th, 1955 being the temporal junction point, so maybe the clock tower itself serves as sort of a physical temporal junction point, and that's why everything just happens to be the most important place in every single time period, even though that sort of goes against their philosophy in the first film of having to be run down. And
Two things: it's always a newspaper, and the James Tolkien, he loved playing War Strickland.
Yeah,
like the war-torn Strickland, if you will.
Eat lead, slackers. I love that line.
Yeah. By the way, I think it passed, but in the future, that one of the girl in Biff's gang actually hit that pillar, and she was a stunt girl.
Hospitalized, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, also there's a real biker. This is a real biker gang.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the Times Square shot gone wrong.
Mm.
Town Square.
And of course, when they go back to 1955, they only redo that one side of the street, and this is all 85A, the off camera.
Yeah.
Since this is actually filmed basically in reverse order, according to time period. The 55 stuff was filmed first, as they were building the rest of the stuff up to be the 85A. Then they filmed the 85A stuff, and then finally the 2015 stuff was filmed when they redid the square again.
Yeah. It's always easier to do that because then you can just dirty things up after you shoot the nice clean 55s. Here's the Clock Tower Casino. I'm sorry, Meg, but go ahead.
Must be a few seconds ahead of you guys because Marty McFly is just waking up now.
Oh, really? For me, he's watching the.
Yeah,
I know what this is. It's PAL conversion. Yours is running a little bit faster than mine.
PAL
conversion. So even though we started at the same time, yours is getting ahead of mine.
Oh, okay.
So
he is a time travel expert.
because PAL conversion runs faster than NTSC when it's an American film being converted into PAL. So yeah, that's what that is.
Oh,
yeah,
I think this is hilarious. This documentary for Biff always cracks me up. Even when I was a kid, I watch a lot of documentaries. It's just really funny. God bless him.
I think it's great how they put Biff's face on all those pictures because they're actual historical photos.
This is sort of like the precursor to the Forrest Gump technology. Years later.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, look, it's Billy. It's the bad guy from Titanic.
Oh, I feel so bad for Lorraine during this kiss. The easy way.
Oh yeah.
The easy way. That's always been one of my favorite lines. Easy way.
The 3D Thug upgraded Elvis frames.
Yeah.
Although, remember how some projectionists at the time, they thought the movie ended right there?
Yeah, as I said on the commentary. Well, as I was saying at the beginning when you weren't here, my first introduction, my only source of this film until I got the DVDs in 2002 was a recording I got off of television when I was 6 years old. And thankfully that they did have the easy way line in there. Even though I've heard there were I don't know if this was the case back in '92, but I know that I was watching commentary on Firefly and they were saying they couldn't have a moment of go to black because they had algorithms on the television broadcast that would immediately go to commercial as soon as something cut to black. So I guess I was lucky in that case since that is a cut to black when they say the easy way that they didn't just go straight to commercial on there too.
No wonder Andy Kaufman can't get 30 seconds of malfunctioning on TV.
Oh, that doesn't help that he's not alive anymore.
Well, I mean, back in the day with his Howdy Doody special.
Yeah, that's weird. I was actually just researching Andy Kaufman recently because I started watching some Taxi reruns on YouTube because I hadn't seen that show since it was on Nick at Night in the '90s.
Yeah.
Which also ties back into this because Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd in Taxi.
He was. But I think this is Biff at his most menacing.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Although even then, it's hilarious right here because it's just the of all the things he says, all the profanities he's throwing out. It's when he calls George a butthead. That's what sets Lorraine off. It's none of the other things he said. It's the word butthead, of course.
That's funny. Yeah, and also the I was also going to mention the crap. What was I going to say? Darn it. Oh, yeah, I remember Buford Tannen, he gets a redesign for 3, but they didn't know what it was going to look like when they were shooting 2, because they shot him back to back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back to the future.
That doesn't really happen that often. At first it happened with Superman 1 and 2, but then this. I believe it's also the Richard Lester. Ironically enough, talking about Superman, the Richard Lester Three Musketeer films, 3 and 4 Musketeer.
Yeah,
films.
that's right. Yeah, because they had the same trailer idea for this film they had from Three Musketeers to Four Musketeers. The trailer at the end of the film. Which is also funny is I was doing watching some Beatles stuff today, and of course, Dick Lester was a frequent director of the Beatles in A Hard Day's Night and Help and How I Won the War with John Lennon. Everything ties back together. It's like it's six degrees of Richard Lester.
And speaking of Superman, Mark McClure, who plays Jimmy Olsen, was originally in this one because he plays Marty's brother in 1, and there's gonna be a scene like Dave being like a drunk on the street. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just before he sees the documentary is when he confronts Dave. Oh, Dave gets kicked out of the casino.
Yep.
Sadly, the late Wendy Jo Sperber was not available.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
To do a Linda scene.
Yeah, I mentioned it on the first movie that she passed away. I think I just forgot her. Forgot her actual name, so I feel a little bad for that.
That was sad.
We read her in the credits, so I'm not that much of a monster.
Yep, who worked on Bosom Buddies with Tom Hanks, who would later go on to be in Forrest Gump with Robert Zemeckis. And yep, everything ties back to everything else.
Well, not anymore, because I'm going to say he's also in Toy Story. Okay.
Well, yeah, but Robert Zemeckis wasn't in Toy Story, so.
Yeah, that's me bringing up Pixar. That's just how I operate. Silly me. Oh, I think this is an interesting solution to George McFly not being in the film.
Well, they seem to choose lots of different solutions. They did the body double. They had the reuse clip. I mean, I think it's one of those things that because they already had another actor to play George McFly. So I think if they wanted to have George McFly in the 80s, they could have. I think that this is just a better narrative device.
Yeah, because you know what really works about this? It's just the power, the death of the father. You saw what lengths Marty went to in the first film for the father and with the father, and it just makes it so powerful. This kind of makes it a little bit of the down point in, the Star Wars, the second one's kind of the most depressing, and the resolution in the third one. Mm-hmm. This is kind of his ultimate low point right here, and his father is dead. Yeah.
Although, still in a sense though, it is kind of sad in sort of what could have been kind of sense, because George McFly was really the most important character in the first film. He was the most dynamic character, the one who had to go through the most kind of changes. And but in the sequels, there basically is no George McFly. He's basically a cameo in in the rest of the movies, where he was like the most pivotal character in the first film.
Exactly. They went on a journey together. They bonded. It was a father. Yeah. Back Future is a good father-son movie to watch. Speaking of it, because we're recording close to Father's Day right now. It's kind of a
for you guys over in America. For us, it's pretty far off.
Yeah.
And speaking, isn't it an amazing coincidence? No matter which version of the timeline it is, both those. All the newspapers seem to correspond exactly the way they needed to have that same picture. But on the same day, George McFly is being murdered, and the other timeline he's being honored on the same day that Doc Brown makes the front page for being committed, which is it's gotta be a slow news day in Hill Valley if that's the case. So also the same day in the restored timeline that he's getting honored, and in a very similar photograph. Isn't that funny how that always seems to work out just exactly the way you need it to?
Well, for Doc Brown, that is kind of a big event, kind of guy being honored. I don't know. Yeah. I see what you're saying, though, definitely. I'm just saying for Doc Brown, I think there's an exception.
Well, I was about to say that it was actually the George McFly one that actually made a little more sense, because apparently the backstory was he was murdered on his way to being honored. He was on his way to getting his award, his author award, when Biff shot him, and so I can sort of see that as being the reason why they'd both be able to. Both those newspapers would make sense.
That's interesting. Also, I kind of like that somber exposition we have here. It's kind of like Doc Brown kind of being sort of that kind of... when he goes to the grave, he's sort of like the angel of death, kind of explaining what happened. He says, "I knew you'd be here, Marty."
Yeah.
Talking to him, and then kind of exposing what happened to this horrible world, what brought us here, and like how it explains the paradox, which is also the original title of... It was the working title for this.
Working title, Paradox.
Yeah.
Paradox. It was kind of keep the funding, the media away from it. It's like a Blue Harvest for Empire. Well, I mean, not for Jedi.
Return, yeah. It's I was also telling Magpie while you weren't here is that this of all the Back to the Future movies, this is the one that's most about time travel. The first film just uses time travel as a plot device, to get the kid and the parents together. Whereas this one, and again, this is the first one I saw, where this is where we have all the things about paradoxes and how timelines can change and how, which way we can travel, and really got to the nuts and bolts of how time travel works in this universe, which I always really enjoy. It is what really got me first interested in time travel.
Yeah, that chalkboard explanation is really well done. It basically communicates everything you need to know about it in that scene. But also, do you remember the white-haired Asian scientist fusion?
The what?
Do you have this on Blu-ray?
No, I have this on the 2002 DVD, which I got the day it was released, of course.
Yeah, I got that too. But there's this white-haired Asian scientist. I feel so bad I forgot his name. It's hard to pronounce. That's why. But he basically said they got their science right with this one.
Oh yeah, I remember them mentioning that in the commentaries. I don't know if they mentioned his name in the commentary on the DVD, but they did say that they talked to some time travel expert, and they said that.
Yeah, he's on the Blu-ray, so you get to see like the guy talking about it in the Blu-ray edition.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Well, food for thought.
I've
And
got to say, Biff has the worst interior decorator.
He does.
I assume you're a scene ahead of us at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying Nixon running for a fifth term just like in Watchmen.
Yeah. Maybe this is the same. Maybe this is the same timeline. Maybe the Watchmen events happen here as well.
They would have gone to Dr. Manhattan to fix everything. And of course, this is great setup for 3 right here, the Clint Eastwood scene.
Yeah.
And it kind of like how they copy the framing with Marty, the in between the leg shot.
Yeah.
I love how Marty's now with the man of the mission. Again, that kind of bond with the father and son is kind of coming through with this. Like, now I have to fix everything. I am going to confront Biff to find out when.
Oh, that's a waste of perfectly good remote control.
Yeah.
Of course, he even has the between the legs framing on Marty. Like, even though we're not even in the Western part yet, they're giving him Western hero showdown framing.
Exactly, and I like how serious he is in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the makeup didn't agree with him on this.
Almanac.
Yeah, makeup didn't agree with the hot water.
Yeah.
For Biff.
Well, and granted, I'm not, as I said before, I'm not a huge fan of this makeup to begin with. It just looks like he's, like his face is melting even when he's not in the hot tub. No offense to Ken. No offense to Ken Chase. I love his work in the first film. I loved his work in Roots as well. But this just didn't do it for me in this film.
Yeah.
Thought it'd be you. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of taken that the green suited, as some people call him, neutered. But I don't see it. Just the Biff that, like the nice Biff, but he's the Biff we all know he really is underneath.
Mm. In
control. It's like that 50s Biff, well, literally that 50s Biff's grown up to be 80s powerful Biff. Apparently this guy's like the most evil guy in Hill Valley.
Yeah.
It is funny, just talking about the Biff from the first film by itself, kind of the funny attitudes they had in the 80s about homosexuality, considering that they said their kind of joking idea was possibly that after Biff had been emasculated by George, he sort of became gay, and that was why he was all flamboyant. And at the end of the first film, which obviously got retconned at this point, since turns out to be not the case. But it's kind of funny if you think about that that would be considered very offensive today. Well, what they've done with Biff at the end of the first film.
This one wasn't Wait, was this one emasculated by? Well, wait a minute. Yeah.
No. He was, yes, yeah.
But he's still got all the money, so he still has
it's
power.
Like, you know what? I can cover up my wounds with money. I'm okay now. You know what? But I guess
actually, do we know if that happened? Because old Biff approaches him before the dance, so.
Yeah, but he still gets decked,
Yeah,
like,
because I mean, yeah, because
you know what? I'm still gonna make all this money, and that's why I can still get Lorraine.
Okay, yeah, because Marty's still there, so all that's okay. That still transpires.
Yeah,
has,
and Marty hadn't done anything. Marty hadn't done anything to interfere. I mean, what we see of this, in the later part of the film, Marty's just sort of hiding behind Biff, and so therefore he didn't really change anything. So, so therefore the events still played out as they would have anyway.
I said this to BlueDragonFive during the last commentary. I had thought that Biff was an alcoholic, and he just, after he got decked, he stopped drinking, and that's also could have been part of the change that happened, if you know. And it kind of links in with this film because you see him get drinking and getting drunk earlier on in the film. So that was my theory, and then he sort of wake up to himself, and obviously in the alternate timeline that didn't happen.
Well,
that was my theory.
And I still say in the games and stuff, he's still, at least in the game, which does technically tie in, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure it ties in, but anyway, he still drinks in that version, even when he's just neutered Biff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was so excited. I used to work at a mall that had one of those double crisscrossing staircases like that, and I remember being so excited when it was like in the employees only type of area, the back of the mall. I just remember being so excited that I finally found a staircase like the one in Back to the Future Part 2, and I think I probably did sneak back there at one point and just sort of hop over the rail into the other staircase like Marty did just then.
I love how clever he is doing that, and also I like how he swipes the matchbook, because that's his tell for things going back to normal. I like how Marty thought of that. And here we go, the confronting the father's killer. I mean, that whole scene was basically that, but also here.
Two McFlys with the same gun.
So it's almost kind of the reverse, really. It's the father's killer confronting Marty. Marty just wants to get away.
Yeah. It's a great ploy, by the way, in that reveal.
He didn't even make a sound when he fell off onto the car. Oh, spoiler, sorry.
Yep.
He's not dead.
You didn't give the spoilers warning while I was gone.
It's a commentary, if you don't.
I'm kidding. Oh, this is a great shot.
Would have sucked for Marty if his aim was a little bit off, or he slipped off the hood, and Marty's dead. Movie over. Oh, well.
Yep.
I guess Doc's going to do all the work now. It might have gone better that way. No, let's cause complications without Marty screwing things up.
Yep. I'm going to name the DeLorean after you, Marty.
Oh, sorry. I'm way ahead of you guys now. I'm like...
Look at all those
where are you?
Back and forth.
Where are you?
There are two of you here, and there are two of me here. He's just done the run and the back and forth. Now he's given...
Wait, the running money. Back and forth for you already?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I
love it when they run back. Okay.
What about Jennifer? What about Einstein? We just can't leave him here.
Well, you know what? They've left Jennifer there quite a long time. I was going to mention this. How do they know someone hasn't come along and done some nasty to her?
Well, either way, she'll be fine.
No, and I don't mean... I mean anything nasty to her. They could have killed her. They could have done anything.
Yeah.
Well, at least it'll all be wiped away. Nah, I don't know. That's a good point.
I think it's just Doc Brown's just saying that it'll be fixed if we are successful. So if not, well, you're either gonna care or not care.
Well, I guess my theory is once Marty and Doc time travel back to 1955 here, they and remove themselves from the timeline, then I guess it really doesn't make any difference at this point. That Jennifer is not really, because it's not one of those meanwhile in the future things that fiction writers often screw up and have two time periods interacting at the same as if they're in two different places rather than two different time periods. Now, obviously 1985 is not going on as there in 1955 because it hasn't happened yet. So.
By the way, nice little callback with the ice on the car.
Yep, at least they do that at least a little bit now. Kind of fades away after as time goes on.
Biff gets his car fixed pretty quick.
Oh, see, we're just at the up and down.
Yeah. Why don't you pause it, Magpie? We'll tell you when we're synced. Or not. But
the manure, I remember that. That's where I'm up to.
See, they're running back and forth on this soundstage, which has like one of those little kind of Wile E. Coyote. It's like it's a largely painted background, so it looks bigger than it is. Like it's a POV distance thing.
Forced perspective.
Exactly. You know, it's they're running back and forth to hide the fact that Michael J. Fox is shorter than Christopher Lloyd.
Mm. And it's also just a dynamic, just a dynamic form of blocking. You know, have all these exposition scenes that are just two guys, you know, standing in a two-shot and just, you know, because it film's a visual medium, so you got to make it, you know, got to make the shots look interesting. So having, you know, some action moving back and forth, you know, makes it a bit more visually appealing, so you don't get bored.
You'll be prosecuted. This means you. It's funny. I'm going to get my car, Grandma.
It's a wonderful home life.
Yeah, he gets that car fixed awfully quick, because, like, isn't it, like, only a couple of days before the dance?
Yeah, it is.
It's
a small town. I guess nothing more interesting happens than, you know, a car getting hit with or running into a manure truck, so they don't have anything else to do.
Well, today's Friday for them, I believe. Because the dance is on Saturday, right?
Well, this is Saturday right now, because this is the day of the dance.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Also, that was that kind of shows you that Biff's a jerk. He just throws the ball.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just tormenting kids. That's just adding to it. He doesn't care about it. He's just, like, making it hard for him, even though he doesn't have to.
Oh, it's Roger Rabbit again.
Yep, Charlie Fleischer.
Yeah. Fleischer. Is that what I said earlier? I don't know if I got it. I don't know if I got his name right earlier. You weren't here, but
yeah. He also plays Terry in the future.
Yep. Well, it's the same. Yeah, same. This is the young Terry as opposed to the old Terry, which I never realized until I saw the deleted scenes that linked this character back to his future self. I never realized they were that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I never realized they were the same character. This mechanic in the clock tower petition guy. Was the same character until I saw the deleted scenes on the DVD.
It was always funny that those two. I like how in the deleted scene where old Biff and old Terry interacted. It's just always funny.
You're living in the past, Terry.
That's a great line. Oh, I love that screen door in the battleship line.
Yeah, screen door in a submarine, you dork.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've started playing again. Sorry, guys.
No.
Obviously, you didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bill. I didn't know if you took the advice or not, Magpie.
I just seen Lorraine, so that's where I'm up to.
This might make me sound silly, but I like this shirt here.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
I love the 50s and the 90s.
Actually, I love Lorraine's skirt right here.
Yeah, I just prefer if it were much shorter.
Oh, Magpie, come on, we have company here. He does this, sorry, Fusion.
Yeah.
I'm kidding you, Magpie. But also, did you know that's her dress? I mean, she kept one of the dresses from the first movie. And they instead of recreating it, because they couldn't find it, but they sold one in an auction. I don't know what happened to the other one, the third one she had. So basically, she said, I have it.
That's awesome. I didn't know that at all. And, man, Leah Thompson, yeah.
I mean the dress for the dance. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, if I were her, I would have done the same thing myself. It's pretty rare that an actor gets to keep a costume they use in a movie anyway. It's, you know, there's so many iconic costumes in this movie. I remember as a kid, I was always just trying to recreate Marty's look from the first film, and I finally did get a matching down vest like that when I was in college. Yeah. And I dressed up as Marty McFly for Halloween one year. But I remember as a kid, I didn't realize that was a joke. The whole life preserver thing. I thought he actually was wearing a life preserver, and so I was looking around, I was looking in stores for a life preserver that looked like that, so I could, you know, make that as my Marty costume.
I'm with you in that. I love the vest looking. As a kid, I'd emulate. I still kind of have the vest. I got one of the vests I wear now because it's a red, so that's close as I ever got to Marty's.
Yeah. Mine zips up instead of snaps like Marty's does though. And I don't even know where mine is anymore. I know I still have it somewhere.
Mine zipped up also.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of a slim guy, so I can still fit the vest. It was like a medium back then, but I can still fit into it.
This always drives me crazy that the rear view mirror isn't here in Biff's car during this entire exchange. It's kind of a big deal because, you know, he does use the rear view mirror quite a bit later in the movie, and it's completely gone right now.
Maybe, can the thing like flip up a little?
I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's that. I mean, if you flipped it up, it would still be in view of the windshield, I think, wouldn't it?
I guess. Yeah. Well, that's the reason they took it out for the camera here.
Biff ripped it out.
Well, yeah, but it would be the back of the mirror. It wouldn't be a reflective surface, would it?
Mm. One obviously.
I mean, even if it was. I mean, the hood's reflecting right now, and that's fine.
Yeah. Mm. Well, because did they take? Oh, that's animated almanac he threw behind. They drew that.
Yeah, it doesn't look. I just saw it there and it looked like too.
Yeah, they're not proud of it either.
Yeah.
But all this other stuff looks great. The interaction, like when he slaps someone on the back of the head and he's like handing the magazine, it looks great. And I was mesmerized when I was a kid by that. I still am. Looks cool. Wait, Devil May said it was over. You lost. Oh yeah. The interaction between these two is priceless and funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. See how I like how old Biff's just kind of taken back by it. I can't believe I was this stupid, but still I'm saying, oh yeah, I'm young again. When he's first listening in on them talking about the car. I remember that.
Now, see, earlier when you weren't here, Magpie and I were talking about Confused Matthew's review of this film, and I have to admit, this is even though I really enjoyed that review, I enjoyed most of his reviews, even if I don't necessarily agree with him. This is the part, one of the few things I didn't really even agree with his point about, which was, although to a certain extent I do, but I don't think it's bad in this case. Where he said at one point that this same information is given 3 times in this film about the almanac. But it makes sort of the same complaint about the whole 50s section of this movie is sort of just a repeat. But I think that's one of the most charming things about this film is being, and what I love about time travel in general, is being able to see things from different perspectives, and things that you've been told about, getting to actually see them and see how they differ from the account you were given, that's very much the case here. Is the way Biff describes this, when Marty's talking to him in the 80s, it's essentially the same scene, but the way Biff portrays himself, is much more of a suave person than how we see him in this actual scene where he's actually getting browbeaten, by his older self. And it's funny. It's funny and interesting getting different perspectives on the same scene. So even though you are getting the same exposition several times, it's not redundant.
Mm. Oh yeah, I agree with you 100%. Plus, that's the mission. He's trying to. It centers around this event, this occurrence. So it's fun. But also, I think it's hilarious how Biff in Biff Horrific 1985, he says, we have some sort of family resemblance. I don't see it at all. He's that stupid. He doesn't realize. Told you, Grandma. Dance.
Do you think Biff has got a similar relationship to his mother than what's he in Psycho?
Oh, yeah.
It's his grandma. It's his grandmother.
Are you saying you think Biff is his own deceased grandmother and he just switches back and forth in the roles?
Yeah.
He must be a really good ventriloquist. Okay, I see the mirror now. Yeah, you're right. It is gone. No, maybe they didn't know what angle they were going to shoot, so they took it off just to be safe.
Yeah.
Christopher was actually really graceful on a bike.
Yeah. Yep. Chris Lloyd and I always think of him when I'm riding my bike because I enjoy cycling myself. I ride my bike to work every day, and here's the same tunnel that was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the tunnel that led to Toontown.
Definitely, yes.
Oh, it is?
It is.
I forgot. I've heard that before. I've forgotten about it.
Did they
something weird about Chris Lloyd's wig in this shot. It looks much more like his 50s counterpart, his younger self's hair, than it does the current day Doc's hair. If you notice, it's kind of curlyish and shorter.
I think it's because of the hat.
I don't know, because you see in other shots, including in this later on in the same scene, I think that it's back to the sort of straight, longer hair. It's just in this one shot right here that it's like that.
Oh, I noticed a shot there that the mirror was gone in one shot, and then it comes back. It disappears and then it comes back.
Don't they use forced perspective for some of the tunnel shots?
Yeah, in the tunnel. Yeah, they put the lights in the tunnel closer and closer together to make it look like it's longer. But yeah. See, Doc's hair is back to normal at this point right here.
Yeah. Okay. Also, this is great. Just the guy's warning everyone. Okay, listen, don't interact with the other stuff, and he has to. Just like very nervous at that. It's just he gives himself advice too without.
See, this is another conceit, another idea that sort of eluded me when I was a child. The whole you can't interact with your other self, which I always thought was just like a really, really straightforward kind of rule. Like if you did it, the universe would explode instantly, kind of thing. Even though we see instances like right here and with the two Biffs where that does actually happen, but really it's more of an implied sort of, something bad could happen that could create a paradox that would cause bad things to happen. Not just this magic rule that if you come face to face with yourself, kablooey.
Time as we know it ends. I think it's that wonderful. He's the master of exposition, but at the same time, I think he kind of over exaggerates while he's just doing that. I mean, Doc Brown, the character, is just kind of saying this is really bad, but if you do this, space-time continuum could unravel before our eyes, leading to the end of the world. Basically, this little kind of the butterfly effect. If something bad happens to Paradise, it's just going to lead to the end of the world. I guess is what he's saying.
Well, no, it's just the idea of a paradox. So like, if you were to confront yourself from the past and then say cause your past self to die somehow, then you couldn't, because you wouldn't live to be your future self. You couldn't go back in time and cause that incident in the first place. So it'd be a paradox, which and I guess the universe is sort of folding on itself and collapsed because something happened that couldn't possibly happen.
Huh. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Also, that some people actually thought that in Back to the Future 1, there's this guy on a bike, and they think that's Christopher Lloyd in 2.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that worked out.
Oh, yeah. Also, some people actually went to the extreme. They thought the shadows were actually Marty in 2.
Yeah.
And it's really not there at all.
Of course.
No, because it wasn't planned out at all. Like, the whole bit at the end was a joke.
Yeah.
But I always loved this idea of Marty going back to the same dance and having to work around himself and and again just being able to see old things from new angles.
As a kid, I always thought this look was cool for Marty.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny. I always thought in a way because in the first film the whole Johnny Be Good scene was really just. It was exciting and funny, but it didn't really service the plot in any way. It's like Marty could have left after the Earth Angel scene. It wouldn't have affected the plot in any way.
They thought about cutting that out.
Yeah. I even mentioned that in one of my videos. But it's like but it's funny because you have it in this movie where actually does service the plot because Marty's trying to stop the bad guys when the song is going on. So I always thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mentioned them cutting it out in the last movie, and I mentioned when we did the commentary for the first movie, and I said that there was a similar situation with an Australian film where there was supposed to be a very short wedding scene, but they cut that out, and they regretted doing it, and then they put it back in for the DVD release, and everyone loved it.
Oh, by the way, I know it's past, but on the way to the dance when Doc's coming, before Doc goes with the bicycle, the song that's playing there is Papa Loves Mama, Perry Como song, and it was originally going to replace the Sandman.
Yeah.
So basically, it was going to be that, but then they found Sandman. It works for so they did fit in there in the car. It was playing on the radio and was contacting the Doc. So yeah, take that for what you will. This is a great little location here with this giant with this stairwell behind Biff.
Richard Nixon's high school.
Yep.
Whittier High School.
Uh-huh.
Which is our second Richard Nixon reference in this commentary.
Yep. There's a Chevron refinery for that Tombstone location for the old Park Cemetery, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And here's Strickland's really, really terrible looking side, Picard toupee.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like the makeup and the wigs were just better in the first film.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still just the old makeup doesn't bother me, but yeah, I can tell it's a wig for this one. Did he have real side hair in one?
Only in the real side hair, or I don't know. No, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that was a wig in the first movie as well, because I've only seen him completely bald in any other role I've ever seen him in.
No,
so
maybe the hair really was that good in one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes more sense for him to be completely bald and give him a wig rather than to have him have that hair and then shave it off for that one scene he did in the 80s.
I like to have that in writing. Me too.
Me too. I love that line.
Yep. This sequence, when I first saw this film, I was like, it was so tension-filled, just like something so simple, and like again, it's from another angle. Just you never saw what Strickland was doing in the film, and just during the dance. And originally he freed George McFly in one. He was doing that.
Who's taking a ride on the good old SS Strickland today? That's funny. His initials are SS.
Yeah.
Was it like Sam Strickland or what?
It was Samson. No, he was never given a first name, was he?
So they just made him all S's.
Yeah.
Well, we named him. We named our little Strickland. Sammy. Oh, Lynn moves the little flag so he can, it's like something, a task so simple, but it's so it's like Mission Impossible task right here.
Yeah.
He's really. I'm gonna take it. Magpie just saw the hand crush.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, the hand crush always. It was like, oh, it's like that genuine moment.
Yeah, I think Michael J. Fox. I think there are a few moments in this movie where Michael J. Fox had to have gotten genuinely injured. This and the door, this and the door slamming in his face scene, which is prompted the Robert Zemeckis quote. I think the pain is temporary, film is forever.
Yeah.
Ooh la la.
I've heard that Brad Bird said that too. So I wonder if Zemeckis said it first. It's just a genuine quote.
I wouldn't be surprised if Brad Bird got that from Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah.
There's your second Pixar reference for the commentary.
Yep. That's just the great punchline ever. He just throws it away in the end.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox, whenever he yells or just like panics, it's fun. He's like a master of that, just yelling and panicking, like ooh la la, oh la la.
Okay, now see again. This is how nitpickingly well I know these films is that I hate how in this part behind where you can see the scene, the Biff confrontation scene.
Yeah.
With Wiseman. The choreography doesn't match up with what happens in the first film, and it drives me crazy every time.
Let's see. Talking is gonna put the arm. There, the arm's right behind the back.
It's actually the part. It's actually the part where Lorraine jumps on Biff. It's like you can see her sort of hanging on him for the longest time right here. When in the first film, he throws her off immediately.
Yeah, you're right. Well, yeah, they're doing that. Some McFly can just
she stays on there for a few seconds, not that long.
Well, the reason they have to extend it so Michael J. Fox can just get the
that's time to get out there.
So he can get out there. That's a nice touch, by the way, that he actually gets to see the moment now, because he always just arrived there at the moment, like right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like seeing his father triumph over the bad guy, like he's trying to. It's a nice connection there.
Mm. Yeah, but it's just I've seen the first film so many times, like just the little moments where it's off like that, and actually there's the Johnny B. Good parts actually adds a piece and removes a piece that the first film did and didn't have of the song.
Yeah. This guy, I'm interested to see what you say about this guy, Fusion.
The wallet guy?
Name. Yes, the wallet guy. This guy, I remember him from Phil of the Future. I can't remember his name.
I was gonna say That's So Raven. That's where I remember him from. I never saw Phil of the Future. I stopped watching Disney Channel by that point.
Well, he was in both, but this guy. Look how young he is, first off, but otherwise, that's what
actually, he's almost 30 right here.
Oh.
I did look him up once because I was interested.
I recognized him. I was watching Phil of the Future, and I said, I know this guy. Yeah, from Back to the Future. He's the wallet guy.
Okay. This is the part I always found kind of weird. Is that the goons want to chase Marty again right here? When in this timeline they'd already locked him in the trunk and gotten their comeuppance on him, but they see him again and immediately go, "Oh, that's him. We got to chase him again. We were looking for him." Well, they already found him. They'd already found him and locked him in the trunk.
Well, they did, but then they were chased off by the other guys. So their mission's like to keep this guy away, to get revenge for Biff. You know, it's the mission right there. So they're still okay. Job's not done. Let's get him. That's the way I figured it. But
I think they just forgot.
yeah, that's probably it too.
Changes and try and keep up, okay?
We're seeing. I'm still on with Angel. They're kissing right now.
So am I.
And they did not kiss right there in the first movie. I'm just saying.
You're right. I love that Alan Silvestri cue. You know, da, 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 da.
Yeah. It's like, see, I know this movie like the back of my hand. And
Indiana Jones reference.
Yeah, the hat.
Even though it was before, was it before Indiana Jones or while Indiana Jones was in production?
This is the same year. This is the same year as Last Crusade.
Okay, Last Crusade. That explains it. Okay.
But I mean, they did that gag in Temple of Doom, him grabbing his hat at the last second under the door.
They do it. Well, they do in every movie.
Yeah.
That way. Yeah. I think he stole your wallet.
Yeah, that's like the only thing that guy has to hold on to. Like, I did something important. He got his wallet stolen. I'm going to tell him that. That's my purpose for today.
Which is funny because, like, as far as I know, in fandom, everybody calls him the wallet guy, but he's actually credited in the movie as CPR Kid. It's like, nobody remembers the CPR line. It's the wallet thing that people remember him for.
Yeah, because he said it so much. Oh, by the way, I love Doc's shirt here. I know it's a little past bringing it up, but yeah.
Well, I mean, we're going to see it again for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it's also in 3. It's like turned into a bandana.
Bandana, yeah.
I like how like all the modes of transportation on it, like the trains, are really going to be prevalent in 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think he took your wallet. I think he took his wallet.
Was the ladder always there?
The amplifier is missing the Pepsi crate it was on in the first movie.
Yep.
No, they take that away before Johnny Be Good.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I mean, like, because I know it's gone in the first film too. By the time he kicks it over, but I thought during the number itself it was still there.
No, it's gone before he starts singing Johnny Be Good. Trust me, I've watched it probably nearly as many times as you have.
Well, by the way, I know it's past.
Possibly more, because I've watched the Johnny Be Good scene the most. Because that's the scene I would always go back to as a kid.
Yeah, he loves the
and the time, I'm gonna be really nerdy here, and the timing in the song when Marvin gets on the phone is different than it was in the first film.
Yeah. Your cousin Marvin Barry.
Barry.
But you know what? I know it's kind of past, but originally what damaged the DeLorean was Farmer Peabody.
Peabody, yeah.
Yeah, he shot. He was coming out of like the mental health clinic. And it's like, okay, it was just it wasn't a flying saucer, just like a figment of my imagination, something like that. And he sees it, grabs a shotgun out of his truck, and shoots at it.
I'm glad they didn't go through with that, because that would have taken too much time to set up for such a for a gag that is such a small
really
gag like that.
But hearing it still, sounds really funny.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous but funny. It's like you don't need the scene where George McFly he's locked in the time, but still Strickland. You don't need it, and Strickland saves him. That's fine.
Although I did love that scene, that cut scene in the first film. I just love George being stuck in the phone booth, and Crispin Glover's delivery of those lines in that scene was hilarious.
Yeah, I just love how neurotic he is.
Yes, I am a slacker.
I just love how neurotic he is. He has to check every clock because he's so nervous.
Yeah. Like, this is what happens to slackers.
Now, this is a great thing when Marty of the past just kind of walks on. What the heck happened here?
Oh yeah, this is the scene that I have the Jeffrey Weissman autographed glossy from. This moment right here where Marty comes down the stairs.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I obviously you didn't listen to our first commentary fusion, but I have the letters that Marty wrote in the first movie.
Oh yeah, yeah, both versions. The one because they're different both times you see them. The torn up one and the not torn up one. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I could have gotten the frame because they were they're in that good nick. But the person sent them to me in an envelope, and I was like, no, don't send them to me like that. I wanted to put them in a frame and everything because they're.
Because now they're all folded up and stuff, the creases and everything.
Well, not. I think the white, it was mainly for the white one because I didn't want that one all creased up or anything because it was
brand new.
Yeah, and I wanted. So that kind of disappointed me, but they're not in that bad nick. I'll have to find them and actually we'll still put them in a frame somewhere because they're.
This is kind of funny, by the way. It's like the face-off while in the background, George McFly. You know, his face is literally off because they're keeping him out of focus.
Yeah, but it's funny. But it's funny. You actually see for a few seconds, for some reason, they actually go back into focus. Right after he turns to face the camera, so you can see Jeffrey Weissman very clearly for about 5 seconds.
Yeah. Also, so this film originally ended earlier. It ended like after he got the almanac, and this whole Biff was an add-on. This whole versus Biff.
Have a climactic action scene with Biff.
I think it's really cool that I'm glad they kept that in there because this really works. This is the ultimate face-off doing Biff and Marty.
Yeah.
Although it's like Biff really does seem like he's trying to kill Marty here. It's like wow, how. It's like he was it sort of kind of goes beyond the whole he's just a bully thing to being like he's a homicidal maniac in every single timeline type of thing.
Well, let's just say he's trying to hurt him really bad.
He's trying to crush his car into a wall.
Okay, I know you're right about it. At this point, it's like he could get away with it. Like no one would know.
Well, only because Marty doesn't exist in this timeline at this point in time. It's like, what's this bizarre human remains here? This human scrub mark on the wall. I don't know. I love this part right here because you have a stunt driver driving the DeLorean and you can see him put his hand up to cover his face right here.
Yeah, you can tell. Oh, that's so obvious. Is he even wearing the
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm touching the dials right here. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Really, they couldn't have had him in there. Just like the car's being towed, basically.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's like it's on like hooked on the truck right now.
Yeah, looks like a 25-year-old in a wig.
Yes, for a second it looked like he even had the wig. I like how they're forecasting the rain.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems the weathercasters getting a little bit more spot on because about a couple hours earlier in the first film when Marty was listening to the radio report and it's like mostly clear with some scattered clouds. So at least they're starting to catch up with to the reality of the situation at this point. The Hills Valley weather forecasters.
Well, whether or not
is that a pun?
Well, now it is. Whether or not Biff is a homicidal maniac, this is a really great face-off scene right here. Again, you could argue maybe that because the almanac version gets more homicidal, then again he doesn't really know that he's the with the wide-eyed old man, so he doesn't know if he's the same one he's been told to off in the future.
Yeah.
So. Either way, still really it's a good face-off, and it could be Biff just being reckless and stupid, so he doesn't really.
But still, if some crazy old man you never met before told you to kill somebody, would you be like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Why not? I'll run over my car the first chance I get.
Well, he lost the rain. He's got nothing better to do. It's either that or be neutered in the future. Basically, right now he was neutered, but yeah, that gave him back his conus, I guess, the almanac. So. Temporarily. Yeah, that tunnel's a great setting for this for this battle here.
Mm.
I remember this.
It's an amazingly long tunnel, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Well, at least the Toontown.
It's even longer in the video game.
At least the Toontown. It's got to be long. They're gonna meet Eddie Valiant when they get through there. Of course. Did you guys mention the maglev technology?
No.
Yeah, the hoverboard. They actually looked into maglev technology, stuff that was going to be originally put on trains. They kind of have it float. It was experimental technology. I don't know how far we've gone with it. Sort of like
I remember there was a computer game I used to play called Transport Tycoon, and you'd take your transportation empire through the decades, and there was a point once you got into the 21st century that you would replace. Well, first you have traditional steam trains that would be replaced with diesel, and then you go to monorail. Then at some point in the 21st century, the new technology of maglev would come out, and you'd use maglev trains later in the game.
Sounds like a similar game to what I play on Facebook, Train Station, where they have maglev technology as well in that.
And did you
mention I'm sure you could play that on Facebook now. The technology's come so far. This is like a high-end DOS game back in the early 90s.
It sounds very similar.
This is a great callback to the 2015 where he's like paddling along in the water. Now he's kind of paddling along in the set here. Also, they have to keep washing his jeans so it wouldn't blend in with the blue screen.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, couldn't they use? I guess green screen wasn't quite as common back then as it is now.
Well, I think blue was first.
Yeah. Blue was first. Blue was definitely first. But I mean, it's like what would have solved all their problems if they could have just used a green screen instead.
Well, actually, did you know? I don't know if it's been released yet or they've all been bought up, but they actually did make they made the self-lacing shoes, but also they made the hoverboard. So the hoverboard can be bought.
Mm.
So basically, the hoverboard, it kind of glides a little. It glides, but it doesn't like hover. And basically, they have copyright 2015 on it, which is funny. It was made in 2011. I don't know what happened. It was in process of being made in 2011, so I don't know what happened to it. But the hoverboards were made by Mattel.
I've seen them.
So there's that. And if anyone didn't know, it's like part of the NECA line. No, wait, not NECA. I mean, sorry, it's Mattel, but some of the collector stuff's put up by NECA. I mean.
There's a lot of stuff in the official commentaries around this point about how this stage had to be cleared out for like a happy birthday to Lou Wasserman, who was the head of MCA. And actually, I live about an hour away from Universal Studios Orlando, and there actually is a giant Lou Wasserman statue on the backlot part of Universal Studios.
It's funny, this guy was rumored to have mob connections.
Yeah. Basically
being a big, powerful guy at the studio, and originally Bob Gale, the writers wanted more money because the actors getting raises. Yeah, it's fair enough to ask. But anyway, so Bob Zemeckis told them, like, we're not going to go into work unless you guys get the raise. And then Lou Wasserman basically made him do it because, you don't mess with Lou Wasserman.
Yeah, like the moral of the story is don't mess with Lou Wasserman.
Yes.
Struck by lightning.
Yeah.
You and your PAL version going faster than us.
Darn you! I'm having an emotional moment here with that. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm going to. Yeah.
Yeah. I love this whole bit coming up. Sorry.
Also, the green lights underneath the blurring was a nice touch when you saw it glide over.
Yeah.
See it glide over.
Yeah.
Although I wonder what those do. Why they're there? Are they just landing lights from the future? I mean, I guess the DeLorean didn't have them before it was flying. I don't think it's a time travel thing. I guess it's probably more of a future, standard for flying cars, so they don't land on people without them knowing they're being landed on. I guess.
I'd say it's part of the hover conversion, just kind of like exactly, warning for that.
Like landing lights.
I love the danger, the building score.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Doc, get out of there! You don't want to be struck by light. It's like he's yelling at the clock tower all over again.
I remember we're usually getting really emotional when the after the DeLorean gets struck by lightning and
I'm with you.
The bit where the flag things fall down and you see this burnt edge, and I was like, that would always get me emotional.
It would. I'm with you on that because basically that's the death of Doc Brown. It's an emotional moment. It's like.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
Doc dies in every movie.
I know. Tell me about it. He does die in every movie. I was going to bring that up next. Yeah, that's just always funny. He gets shot in one. He gets struck by lightning.
Shot in one and shot in three.
Yes, shot in three. Oh, but yeah, just that moment. They land and smoking. It's just at the moment point in the film, you don't know he's coming back. It's like, oh my God, God, this really is the darkest of three.
Technically, I guess Doc didn't actually die in this movie. It was only in 1 and 3 that they actually died.
Well, Well, I mean, at one point it did kind of. You're right. I'm thinking about the adding 30 years on, so I was thinking he might have been dead, but I don't know. Well, that's keeping it like not counting 3. Then we could assume maybe he died because he's not in the wedding picture. But I don't know. It's up in the air.
No, I mean, maybe Doc just didn't want to be seen at the Chapel of Love.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Marty, even I'm the crazy old scientist, and even I have standards.
But it's funny. He has like another white-haired guy in the place of Doc in that photo. Like, was he white-haired? I don't know. Like, it wasn't Doc, but still it was.
Was it George, maybe?
No, I don't think. No, it wasn't George because they eloped.
Well, then why would you invite Doc to your elopement then?
Well, I mean, it's Doc. You would invite your friends, but I mean, it's like maybe the family's against it or something. I don't know.
Well, I guess that's probably the preacher then who married them.
Who knows? But also Joe Flaherty, he's awesome.
Yep, Count Floyd.
It's also 1885. Good. It's all about alive. Duck's alive. He's in the Old West, but he's alive. Kid, do you need help?
There's only one man who can help me. I know you're ahead of us, but I'm quoting it anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't put 70-year-old paper out in the rain like that. I don't think that would be very good for it. It'd be bad if the letter disintegrated before Marty got a chance to read it.
I always thought that when I was a kid watching this. Like, don't open it in the rain.
Yeah, at least let him get the umbrella out first. Come on.
Yeah, I was thinking, open it in the car. Oh, yeah, I just love it. Is it Federal Express? Is that what these guys are?
It's Western Union.
Western Union, because of Westerns in the Old West.
why didn't Marty hitch a ride back into town with this guy? Wouldn't that have been a lot faster than running the mile or so back to Hill Valley?
Oh, no, because he can't interact with his... He knows where he's going to be. He just can't... He knows he can't be there when they're trying to send him back in time.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but Marty still gets there ahead of time, and he's hiding behind one of the cars. He hasn't just arrived when we see him. He's been hiding back there, waiting for the DeLorean to go away.
He can't interact with his past self. Remember, he
he's running around. He runs around the corner.
No,
you're right.
Actually, he doesn't run around the corner. If you watch carefully, he actually runs out from behind one of the cars that's parked there.
Yeah, I did see that. Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, either way, he knows he can't interfere with the past self, and he's just gonna get there late anyway. I mean, he's supposed to.
Yeah, but I mean, don't be all tired and worn out. Get there earlier, get there quicker, get there easier, and then just not have to run a mile because the sign in the first movie does say it's a mile from that point to Hill Valley. So,
well, I guess it's just my friend's alive. I'm gonna meet him. And he's being all dramatic about it. It's just really neat. Also, God bless the Western Union guys for keeping that letter. Yep.
I really hope at some point somebody tries that out, or somebody has tried that out, 70 years from whenever they did that, and see if they actually will do that, deliver a letter after 70 years.
Yeah, they actually asked the Western Union guys if they do that.
Oh, they said they didn't ask the Western Union guys if they did that.
They didn't?
They didn't. They didn't ask.
Oh, silly me. Sorry. But yeah, also, I just love how well planned it is. It really sells it for me. That Doc Brown can literally write that letter and know, and if assuming everything goes right, Marty opened that in that exact second he got struck by lightning. I thought that was just, love how well planned and well timed that was.
That's Doc. Time. There's time in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this in my introduction to the film, but I saw these out of sync originally.
Me too.
I saw 1, 3, then this, and at first I saw 3 because it was back when it was on tape. So at first I saw the ending of 3 because no one rewinded it. I was thinking, man, these opening titles are strange. Wonder where it's going to go. Then I rewinded it, and then basically I was dead. I was wondering, okay, what's with the hoverboard and all that stuff? And I see this on my birthday that same year, and yeah.
Well, I was lucky enough to see them in concurrent because I was smart and did it that way. Yeah. Tell me when you guys are up to the credits, by the way.
I'm on the trailer. I'm on the trailer for 3 right now.
So am I.
The trailer for 3 is just finished for me.
What do you think of the trailer?
I love this trailer. Actually, I like this trailer better than the official trailer for the movie itself. But better than the actual trailer for Part 3.
I mean, I'll give you that, but let me ask you this. Now, the studio wanted to was pushing for this to be kind of regarded as a single film instead of just the two films. Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you this: which way do you think it stands better, like this, or like if it was just its film on itself? This is more like the first of a two-parter. This is the way we're being presented now. But what do you think about just a standalone film?
I thought they were saying. I thought Bob Gale was complaining it was the other way around. That he wished the studio had marketed it as a part, and instead because he thought that people were disappointed that this movie didn't have an ending.
No.
And they thought if they knew that, if they marketed it that it was just half of a movie, then people wouldn't have gotten so upset about it.
Well, that's the thing. It didn't mark. I thought that's what I was saying, that it wasn't marketed as the half film like he wanted. He wanted it marked as a half film, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't. That's what I guess I'm saying it wrong, but I mean saying it.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Personally, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily agree with Bob Gale as that being the reason why it dropped off in the first place. I think maybe. Well, I mean, granted, the movie landscape is a bit different now than it is then. This is and filming two movies back to back like that and having a sort of cliffhanger ending wasn't. It's much more common nowadays than it was then. So I guess I could see that maybe being the case. But I don't know. I really don't think it would have. I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference. And I mean, in terms of just the advertising. I mean, because granted, there wasn't anything like the internet back then, so people weren't as on the pulse of where movies were coming out. But I still think it would have been fairly, at least somewhat known that there was another Back to the Future coming out. Almost 6 months later. It came out 6 months later. So I mean, surely people knew to a certain degree that there was going to be another one immediately after this. So I don't think it would have made any difference how they marketed it, really.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm kind of with you on that too. That I think it's standalone as the second film, but it really works better as like kind of the leading to the third.
Yeah, it works better that way.
Because it was just originally this is just one huge film, but then they had to cut in two.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it would only work that way. Who at that time was going to stay in the movie theater for like 4 hours?
Oh, did you? Well, I would, but did you mention?
I would too.
Yeah. Did you mention Fusion about how it originally went back to the 60s instead of the 50s?
No, actually, we didn't mention that. Yeah, the first draft, it was basically just a remake of the first film. Just having Marty having to stop, make sure his conception happened rather than his parents' meetings. Yeah. Yeah,
and
is that how it went? I just always thought that they went that after Biff gets the almanac, he takes it back to himself in the 60s, not the...
Yeah.
Well, it's both.
It's both. It was yeah.
Oh, it was both.
Also,
okay. That would have been interesting.
When George McFly was in the picture more, he was a college professor. Lorraine was a flower child who was protesting the war in Vietnam.
Well, still, I mean, in the script, the first draft script that I read, he still went away during that part. It only came back at the very end or something like that.
Okay. Also, did you know Zemeckis, he hated you in the future because, like a lot of directors, you're always going to get the future wrong if you try to predict it.
Yeah,
at least that's how he phrased. Well, yeah, 50%.
And he was right. He was right.
Yep. Again, they should re-release this in 2015. Also, but he did love the thing he loved most about this is going back into the same movie.
I agree. That's my favorite part too.
That is what makes this film so memorable.
And I think we're about to run out of movie here, so I guess we should wrap up, huh?
Yeah,
we can go after, but still, yeah.
Oh, sorry. This is your guys' show, not mine. Sorry, I shouldn't.
Yeah, well, we try to start to wrap up during the credits.
Yeah, I just knew that you were ahead of us, Magpie, so I figured you wanted to, if you wanted to.
I'm right.
Yours is probably already done by now.
No, I paused it for a little while. I'm just up to the end. And now they're just showing the songs, and
yeah, actually, that's where we are right now too. Well, that's where I am.
Yeah. Also, the
scenes from Cheers, Family Ties, and Taxi.
Yep.
and Family Ties. How'd they do that and not cut in on
Michael J. Fox?
Michael J. Fox, because he's all over that show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least with Taxi, you have at least about a season and a half of Christopher Lloyd free episodes.
Oh, did you mention the Power Lace auction?
No.
They Michael J. Fox, he raised money for Parkinson's. You know, the cure for Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
He
no, he was actually raising money to cause
Yes.
Parkinson's.
He would.
Especially if the one in Curb Enthusiasm. They sold the shoes. Unfortunately, they didn't power lace, but they did light up. So to their credit, they did that. They were going for like $50,000. Originally, I was like looking at it on eBay. It's like, oh my god, I gotta buy those. But then, $50,000. like a ridiculous amount of money for them. But still, it was to raise money for the cause. Fortunately, I didn't buy any, but I would have because they look really cool.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to mention that. Also,
I heard about that. I didn't know they were that expensive.
I'm saying they range, but still really expensive. Some of them, I think maybe, I'm trying to think if any were $5,000, but at cheapest that might be what they were. I don't know, but still, it was in a very large amount of money. But also, you mentioned the miniatures and the how they worked in the miniatures to get. This is all pre-computer, and they did miniatures to kind of get the flying cars, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Also
fiberglass models as well, which wasn't quite accurate to the rest of the DeLorean models.
Yeah, that's what that's it. Yeah.
But we should wrap it up here.
One last thing, we have to have Fusion back to talk about the ride after we do 3, and we should have Fusion on for 3 if he'd be interested.
I'd love to. I've never actually seen the ride though. I've never been on the ride. The ride doesn't exist anymore, and I never got to go on it.
Well, it's on the Blu-ray. The whole ride and everything's on the Blu-ray.
I don't have a Blu-ray player.
Well, it's also on YouTube, so.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that some other time.
Or we just do a video talking about it. Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, we usually try and give these a rating at the end. In order to not stuff this up, just 3, 2, 1. My rating was 3 out of 5. 3.5 out of 5, because I just don't feel that this accomplishes all its goals. I don't entirely agree with everything that Confused Matthew said about it, because we brought that up in this video. But I just feel that this is the weakest one out of the 3 films. It just it doesn't get me going as much as 1 and 3 do. So that's my opinion. BlueDragonFive, just give us your rating really quick.
Yeah, my rating is I was debating 4.5. I'm going to go with 5. It's just a really well-made film. Technically, great achievement. You know, it was before computers. ILM did a bang-up job. The cameras, it's a historically made film. It's just really good. I think it holds up on its own, but also connects well. Really great. I love it. I can watch it over and over again. Really funny gags. Really works. Again, 5 out of 5. Fusion?
I'm gonna go with a 4 out of 5. I love this movie. It was my favorite as a child. It was the first one I ever saw. First Back to the Future movie, that is. But as I get older, I resonate more with the more human story of the first film, and I love the time travel stuff in this one, and it's really interesting on a technical level, but it doesn't resonate with me quite as strongly as the first film does. But I still love it. I still think it's awesome.
Okay. But I guess that's it. Sorry, everyone, for all the technical difficulties that we've had during this. And BlueDragonFive was good enough to apologize for all his technical difficulties at his end. We'll hopefully be back sometime soon for 3, but I want to try and hold that off until Geekvolution do their own version of 3, because they haven't done that yet. I don't know why they're holding off on that one so long.
Well, they're in the Avengers world right now.
Yeah, they seem to be doing that. So, but if we manage to get in before that, I'll just give you guys a call. Hopefully, thanks for agreeing to, if you are available, Lance, to do 3 with us. So thank you.
Alrighty, yeah.
Okay.
It's really been an honor.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, I'm just
anytime.
Yeah. So, goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
See ya.